3 months earlier, Valkyrie warships had appeared at the edge of our solar system. They didn't fire. They didn't threaten. They simply erased Pluto. A warning. Their message arrived immediately after. A crystalline data shard transmitted through every communication channel on Earth simultaneously. Humanity was to submit to Dominion oversight. We would retain cultural autonomy, but surrender military authority. Our fleets would be dismantled. Our colonies cataloged and regulated. In exchange, we would be spared corrective action. It was conquest dressed as diplomacy. Our leaders debated for weeks. The Dominion was ancient. Their empire spanned thousands of systems. Every known species had either joined them or been absorbed. We were young. We were outmatched. But we were not helpless. Because humanity had something the Dominion did not fully understand. Distance. When the Valkyrie destroyed Pluto, they assumed it would break our spirit. Instead, it unified us. Hidden beneath oceans, inside asteroids, and beyond the orbit of Neptune, humanity's true defense network activated for the first time. Autonomous shipyards we had kept secret even from ourselves. Quantum relays capable of instantaneous fleet coordination. Weapons not powered by brute force, but by precision. We didn't want war, but we had prepared for it. And after 3 weeks of silent observation, we learned something else. The Dominion's fleets were vast, but they were centralized. Every command signal traced back to a single nexus. The Empress. Cut the head and the body faltered. The council wanted to send diplomats. I volunteered instead. If they want submission, I told them, let them look into the eyes of the species they think will kneel. So I walked into the Hall of Convergence alone. Middle, the moment of realization. The Empress leaned forward slightly on her throne. You display composure inconsistent with your strategic disadvantage. I don't think we are at a disadvantage. Murmurs intensified across the chamber. A towering delegate from the Rack's collective hissed in agitation. A gaseous envoy flickered unstable colors. The tension was palpable. The Empress' psychic pressure increased. The air felt heavier. Gravity seemed to press inward. Your outer defenses are negligible, she stated. Your fleets are inferior in number. Your planetary shield grid is insufficient against sustained bombardment. All true, I agreed. Another pause. Then why are you not afraid? I let the silence stretch just long enough to be deliberate. Because you already lost. That did it. Energy crackled faintly along the edges of her throne. Guards positioned around the dais shifted weapons into partial readiness. Her voice dropped in temperature. Clarify. I reached into my coat slowly, careful, controlled, and removed a small metallic sphere no larger than a marble. I held it up between 2 fingers. A few delegates recoiled as if it might detonate. It's not a bomb, I said. It's a relay. I placed it gently on the floor. You centralized your empire around a single command consciousness. Efficient, elegant, predictable. Her spines angled backward, defensive posture. For 3 weeks, I continued, your fleets have been mapping our outer colonies. Observing. Probing. Yes, she said. As is our right. And in doing so, I replied, you allowed us to map you. The sphere activated with a faint hum. Above it, a projection bloomed into existence, 3-dimensional, rotating slowly. Gasps echoed through the chamber. It was a map of Dominion space. Not a rough estimation. Precise. Every major fleet cluster, every logistics hub, every relay node, and, at the center, a glowing nexus pulsing with unmistakable significance. The Empress did not move, but she had stopped breathing. "You cannot possibly possess this data," she said quietly. "We do," I replied. "And more importantly, we possess access." The chamber erupted into chaotic noise. The Rax delegate rose to full height. "Impossible. Dominion encryption is unbreakable." I met the Empress' eyes. "You built your empire on the assumption that no species would ever dare infiltrate your core networks. You were wrong." Her psychic field fluctuated. "How?" "Curiosity," I said. "It's a human flaw." In truth, it had been desperation. When Pluto fell, our top quantum engineers initiated Project Ghostline, a risky attempt to piggyback microscopic probes on Valkyrie scanning pulses. The Dominion's own observation systems had unknowingly carried our infiltration code back through their network. It had taken 18 days. But we had reached the nexus. We hadn't sabotaged it. We hadn't damaged it. We had simply placed a key inside. I gestured to the glowing center of the projection. "If you order your fleets to fire on Earth," I said calmly, "our key activates. Your command nexus goes dark." The entire Dominion fleet would lose synchronized coordination. Ships would not explode, but they would become isolated, confused, vulnerable. And in that chaos, every species currently kneeling would see something they hadn't seen in centuries. Weakness. The Empress stood. The movement was fluid and terrible in its grace. "You threaten mutual destruction." "No," I corrected. "We threaten independence." Silence fell like a blade. I took a single step closer to the throne. "You erased Pluto to demonstrate power. I walked in alone to demonstrate something else." Her eyes burned brighter. "And what is that?" "That we are not prey." The freeze. This was the moment history pivoted on. Because the Empress did something no one in that chamber had ever witnessed. She hesitated. Her lower hands flexed slowly. "You would risk annihilation." "Yes." "For pride?" "No," I said softly. "For choice." The psychic pressure vanished entirely. Delegates staggered as the invisible force lifted. The Empress studied me, not as an insect, not as a primitive, but as an equal. In her ancient calculus, she was running simulations, futures branching into probabilities. If she attacked and won, the Dominion remained intact, but at the cost of exposing vulnerability. If she attacked and lost coordination, rebellion could ignite across 1,000 suppressed systems. If she negotiated, she preserved stability, but acknowledged humanity as sovereign. Her empire was built on inevitability, and I had just proven inevitability was a myth. "You came alone," she said finally. "Yes. Because you knew I would not kill you. I suspected you were too intelligent to." A dangerous glimmer flashed in her eyes. "Flattery would not work. Respect might. You centralized your power for efficiency," I continued. "We decentralized ours for survival. That difference doesn't make us enemies. It makes us different." Her spines relaxed by a fraction. "What does humanity demand?" The chamber held its breath. "Recognition," I said. "Sovereign status. Mutual non-aggression. Open trade under equal terms. And if I refuse? I met her gaze evenly. Then the key turns. The silence stretched for a full 10 seconds. Then the Empress laughed. It was not warm, but it was genuine. A sound like crystal chimes fracturing. For the first time in centuries, she said, I encounter a species that does not beg. She descended from the throne. Every delegate recoiled. She stopped an arm's length away from me. Up close, she was towering, terrifying, beautiful in an alien, razor-edged way. You understand that if I accept, the dominion changes. Yes. You would reshape a 1,000-year empire. No, I said. You would. Her eyes searched mine for deception. She found none. Finally, she extended one elongated, clawed hand. Then let this be recorded, she declared, voice echoing through every relay in the chamber. Humanity stands as a sovereign equal to the Velthari dominion. Shock rippled outward, like a supernova. And the key? She asked quietly, for my ears alone. It remains, I said. Insurance. A long pause. Remove it in time, she replied. In time. Ending. After the throne room, when I left the Hall of Convergence, I was still alone. But I was not the same man who had walked in. Behind me, negotiations had already begun. Trade corridors, cultural exchanges, shared research initiatives. Across the galaxy, suppressed species felt something shift in the invisible architecture of power. The Dominion had not fallen. It had evolved. Weeks later, a private transmission arrived from the Empress herself. You altered the trajectory of my empire, she said. Few beings have ever done so and lived. Likewise, I replied. There was a pause. You knew I would not choose war. I hoped, I admitted. A faint flicker of amusement. You walked into my throne room alone. Yes. Why? I thought about Pluto, about Earth's oceans, about billions of lives hanging in balance. Because sometimes, I said, it only takes one step forward to stop an entire galaxy from stepping backward. The channel closed. Years from now, historians would debate that day. They would analyze fleet positions, encryption algorithms, political strategy. But they would miss the truth. The moment that changed everything wasn't when I activated the projection. It wasn't when I threatened the Nexus. It was the instant the Alien Empress froze. Because for the first time in centuries, she saw not a subject, not a resource, not a future conquest. She saw a species willing to stand alone. And, in that stillness, an empire blinked.